It's good to see all of you. I hope that you and yours are safe and well, that you had a good Thanksgiving. Welcome to broadcast 1437. It's almost 6 years of our Torah community. I know I'm jumping the gun all the way to March 18th, 2026, but look what we have done. Look what we've created together. Let's keep doing it. Here's a little bit of Torah for this week. We read Parshat Vayishlach, a Torah portion right in the middle of Breshit. And I'm thrilled on a very personal level to share that as of this morning, what will be my most precious book to date is now live. It's a commentary on the book of Genesis, on the book of Breshit. I haven't made any public announcements. This is where I'm doing it for the first time with all of you, friends. If you look up the title Timeless Torah on Amazon, you will see that the book is now live. It's a first of 5 because my goal is to create from all the things I've ever written and said about the books of the Torah. I'm hoping this will be a Torah commentary that isn't in response to a moment of history. It is an exploration of what the themes of the Parsha are without referring to something contemporary. So you are welcome to check it out on Amazon. I'll do some readings once I have a physical copy myself. I'm hoping to do some book talks if you'd like to bring me to your community. Glad to explore that with you. But I'm really proud, really, really proud. I've dedicated these 5 books to my 5 children. And I'm really happy to be sharing it with my Morning Torah community. Thank you, friends, for being part of such a special part of my life. This Parsha, Vayishlach. Vayishlach is a very powerful Parsha. We encountered Jacob, who has had such a life story. Last week in Vayetze, his family begins and countless adventures ensue where Jacob, who has been in some ways a deceiver much of his life, he's put in that position by birth order. He's put in that position by his mother. It's very, very hard for him to be who he is. And his children and his wives, as complicated as that is for us to talk about, know it. They know. And they're watching. And they internalize, they imbibe some of this complexity. This week, he's about to re-encounter his brother Esav. I just want to say that again, because yes, it has modern reverberations, but just live within the narrative of the text. It must be really hard to be Jacob this Parsha. He's in a tough spot. The last time that he and his brother Esav, his twin brother, older by minutes, maybe seconds, the last time they encountered each other was when Jacob pretended to be Esav at the instruction of his mother to steal their father's deepest blessing. Now, whatever we believe about that moment, whether Isaac, their father, knew it was happening, whether we place the blame squarely on Rebekah, whether we think it is God's intention that it all happens this way, whatever it is that you think, this is hard, and it's the last time that the brothers saw each other, and he hears that Esav is ahead. Jacob and his family, his new family with all of the babies now, are traveling. And so the name Vayishlach, the name of this week's Parsha, comes from the first verse. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav, and Jacob sent, it says malachim, which we often translate as angels, but it means messengers. Angels, after all, are messengers of a sacred impulse, be that created by God or created by people. Where did he send these, I'll say angels, even though the text translates as messengers mostly? To his brother Esav in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And that's a play on words, of course, because what is Esav's name? Esav is born hairy, Seir from the word Sa'ar, which means hair, the land of hair, and the country of Edom, from the word Adom, red. So he's born this way, and it's really a way of explaining the names of the place that will become associated with the descendants of Esav. So the land of Seir, the country of Edom, and this is the instruction that Jacob gives the messengers. And the word here is to propitiate, to make Esav feel less inclined to hurt Jacob. And the fear that Jacob carries is profound and pervasive. This is the language. Thus shall you say, Ko Tomrun, to my lord Esav, thus says your servant Jacob. You can tell not just the humility, but the diplomacy involved in this language. I stayed with Lavan and remained until now. And I want to use this Hebrew verse to begin a thought. We'll talk more about this during the week, but for now, the language that the messengers begin with, Ko amar avdecha Yaakov, so says your servant Jacob, which is very different from the kind of blessing that Jacob has received. He's lowering himself before his brother. He's humbling himself. Very different from the Jacob that we have experienced so many times. Im Lavan Garti, I have stayed with Lavan. The word Garti is very interesting. First of all, why does he do this? Why is this the first thing that he says to his brother? I have stayed with stayed with Lavan. Well, that part of the family is well known. Betuel, Lavan's father, and Lavan himself are known to be difficult people, tricksters. And among the things that are really hard to understand here is that being with Lavan is a very, very bad thing to do. Jacob has had a hard time, and he's saying to his brother, I have struggled. I was faced with someone who treated me the way you believe I treated you, someone who tricked me at every turn. And that's the truth, because after all, when Jacob fell in love with Rachel, the wedding happens, and behold, he didn't know it was Leah that he married. Poor Leah, poor Rachel, poor Jacob, poor their family, because they know this story, that there is love and lack of love in their history. Jacob is basically saying to his brother, I've grown up a lot. I have faced hardship I never anticipated. It's a way of saying I haven't been well off. I got the blessing, but it isn't simple. Here I am, my brother. And he sends lots of gifts. But what I want to dwell on just for the moment is the way tradition treats this phrase. Im Lavan Garti. I have lived with Lavan. Garti, I lived, is actually an anagram, the rabbis believe. This is not pshat. This is not what the text is saying. But it's layers of meaning that rabbis added to the biblical text. Garti, if you switch the letters around, is the word taryag, taf resh yud gimel, which is the numeric equivalent of the number 613. We know that there are 613 mitzvot, 613 commandments. And so what the rabbis read into this text, and it's very interesting that they feel the need to do this, is that Jacob sends a message in code to his brother Esav. I was with Lavan, but I stayed true to our family traditions. How interesting is that? How interesting is that? That the rabbis, living in their own complicated times, read into Jacob's message that even when you are in complicated times, even when you're under stress, one of the most important ways that family speaks to family is, I've grown. We might have a chance to have a relationship now that we did not have the chance to have before. Now it is us doing the talking. We are not living in our parents' home. Who will we be as siblings now when we can each self-determine? These are real questions for us to consider. Jacob models a very complicated kind of diplomacy, which might not be the wrong method when trying to reconcile with family. Because diplomacy, after all, is speaking words that will be pleasing to someone that you hope to bring to your perspective. Now, family should never try to be in the business of convincing each other. But Esav has had decades to build this resentment and to see Jacob in a very particular way, and who would blame him? Jacob's job in this, his responsibility here, is to say, I know who I was. I've grown since then. I've gone through some stuff. I've done some living. Praying that Esav will hear that. And even if they don't have a warm and loving, sustained relationship, which they won't, maybe it doesn't have to be like it was. There's beauty in this. It might be a lower bar than you expect as a threshold for moving forward as family. But isn't it important for us to consider what it is to move forward as a family with reasonable expectations? We might not always agree, but we always have to be each other's. Not easy. But the Torah doesn't hold back from showing us, both on its pshat level, the context of the verse, and also this added level of meaning. It's beautiful to see the tension that the rabbis hold, reflective really of our own in so many ways, as getting to the heart of what the Torah's narrative itself says, which is every generation family tries to do its best, each member within the family to grow, and family as a whole to stay true to itself, which is why, after 2,000 years, we held on to our hope, not to have an easy time, but liot am chofshi be'artzenu, to be a free people in our own homeland. And so I'd love to invite you to hold on to these thoughts. What it is to see Jacob as a self-determining child who's now grown up, able to make their own choices, trying to figure out what kind of language will help us all, including his estranged brother, move forward through time, and maybe even giving the benefit of the doubt to his brother, that maybe his brother can grow too. We aren't the children that we were. We don't have to be in that dynamic. That's a message for their time and for us. So, send your hearts to the east, friends. Let's sing. Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvatenu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון Vayishlach. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends. Take good care.